and Waldman. We are now going to begin the hour that, whatever, it's the marathon. We're a little behind. This is the 9 p.m. hour. That's the hour we're in. It's our fucking time. That's great. I'm so excited. Tonight is a family affair for me. I am so thrilled to introduce the host for the next hour, my sister, the Dauphine of Bushwick, Tyler Ashley.
Okay, how we feel in New York? Okay, here's what we're gonna do really quickly, like 9th inning, 7th inning, whatever the fuck. Everyone, if you wanna stand up quickly, do it right now. Take a little stretch. Get those legs moving and that circulation going, honey. We have a whole another fucking year to get through. And what a good way to start it off. I'm so honored to be here at the 50th annual Poetry Project Marathon. I want to say, while we're all stretching, I want to say thank you so much to Kay and Kyle and the entire team. Give it up for everyone who made today possible. Oh, come on, honey, it's a stretch. Let a little scream out, too. Honey, the cappuccino machine is closed, girl. We're getting to the nightlife set. Just kidding. But I am here to project a little. We have a few more hours to get through. Are y'all down for it or what, New York? Come on, are you down or what? There we go. Okay. Now you have to start to sit back down, okay? Don't take too long with this, okay? As Kay said, we're an hour behind, but what's behind when you're feeling ahead? I'm Tyler Ashley, everybody. Welcome to the 9th hour set of the 50th annual Marathon Poetry Project, baby. I gave a little number for you earlier. What did you think? Did people love the Annie? I was like, I'm either doing Annie Lennox or Pete Burns. That's how I want to fucking start this year. And such an honor to follow my previous MC of the evening. Give it up for Cecilia, y'all. Come on. I mean, whoa. Honey. Talk about an icon. Sick of that word yet? All right, shall we, folks? Shall we dig deep? And I think that this first artist is the person to definitely dig us deep into this next set, a stacked set if you ask me, not only because I'm emceeing, but can you believe these lineups today? Whoa, curatorial prowess. All right, everybody, settle down, settle down. Wo Chan, yeah, who performs as the illustrious Pearl, is a poet and drag artist. They are also the author of Togetherness. Please welcome to the stage, Wo Chan.
Hi, can you hear me? Awesome, you all sound great. Okay, so thank you, Tyler. Always a pleasure and lovely to hear you. Also, that performance was fucking incredible. Oh, let's give it one more time for Tyler's performance. Okay, I'm just gonna read a poem from my book. It's titled, I'm So Glad I Got to See You, for my friend JT. Somewhere between the feeling and the country I slide from sleep, floats my face on memory foam. I made mushy with drool. We made plans. Meet me at the pie shop 2 avenues over, where the sunbeat goannas fan kicks a gray skirt over our heads. Your hair, a carrot's root, makes for soft transit. We did not order pie. We talked instead. You gave an eye contact that washed the beauty of sense right ahead of what I could see. What are all the words we know? Let's piece it together. Our mothers are intelligent. Papers have us isolated. Togetherness can be brutal, yet we need it. There's no justification. I think you are the bravest person I know in that I can't predict the limits of what you can do. It is unfair to make a flag of your feelings. You're scared all the time, angry too. My nervousness spreads like jam on sourdough. You scoop earrings, vintage clip-ons on our way to Prospect, the stoop sale. We pass in Park Slope, clasps a violet bunch of ceramic flowers mid-sail on your earlobes. I photographed. The times we failed, our friends still haunt us. Some say comrades, siblings, or radicals. The path went thin. Blue scaffolding and trees sprout, yet bond to whom? I barely know them. Rhetoric seems half cruel by now. By now we've washed that baby smell. Each drop-hinged tiger lily backbends a radiant lyre. I think that flowers can rhyme with anything. It's like an alien, you smile, terrified that humanity will one day colonize outer space. I'm scared of my desire. I joke that every movie set in space had to be filmed on Earth for closeness to the people that a genuine feeling can hurt. Thank you.
Yes. Whoa, that's from your book, Togetherness? That's from Togetherness? Okay, y'all gotta go pick up Togetherness. Moving along, honey. It's the new year, so what would it be without a little bit of revenge here and there, you know what I mean? Love first. Nicole lives in New Orleans and New York and splits her time between New Orleans and New York. Please welcome to the stage, Nicole's Revenge!
Thank you, Tyler Ashley. It's insane that you know that about me. I want it a little higher. I've been thinking about this part for the last 5 minutes where I'm like, I'm gonna make it higher and it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's sunny outside, and I'm barefoot in the backyard cooking steaks on the grill for no particular reason other than it's nearly regular dinner time, and I have a husband and, I don't know, 3 or 4 kids of varying genders who are for now playing games in the pool, but pretty soon will need to eat dinner, and their father, my husband, loves steak, and so do I. We have a healthy, normal type of family dynamic that probably way surpasses the average American's, but for sure isn't overcompensating for some huge astronomical emotional crater left by my own upbringing. I'm confident in all the right ways, and there's not some massive trans darkness bleeding into everything I do, sullying every cute little moment or making me second-guess every single accomplishment I maybe have achieved in my life. I flip the steaks and my husband makes his way over and I feel exactly the way any normal woman would feel, which is, I guess, to say that I feel safe and all my legal documents match up because my shit is all exactly the same as how I was born. My resting heart rate is just puttering along somewhere between 60 and 100, which is, of course, totally normal. And my hair looks exactly as it should because nothing is out of the ordinary happening with me. And I'm completely relaxed. Because here, in my own backyard, I'm living comfortably inside my regular body without any tattoos or radical surgical modifications or whatever. The all-powerful, huge black expanse of darkness just isn't even making me think all these terrible thoughts of self-doubt, which is kind of amazing because I can tell from looking that the steaks are almost done and the kids have started drying off from the pool, and my husband is rubbing my neck and shoulders in the way that he always does when it's almost time to eat and he wants me to feel appreciated. I'm living completely in the moment, which makes total sense because that's how I've always done it. Since there isn't really any big overarching trauma about who I am, or for that matter, maybe how the world sees me. No kind of big picture monstrosity of the mind that probably no one is even really considering except for me. And I guess maybe worst case scenario, just sort of every single person I've ever interacted with in my entire life. The steaks are a perfect medium rare, except for the one I'm slicing up for the kids, because of course they like it well done and with ketchup. My skin is actually more or less absolutely glistening in the sun, and my huge, heavy, natural breasts are hoisted so perfectly into one of those new Skims nipple bras, which my husband and the kids both love, go figure. And what's so perfect about all of this is that I'm just so content and at peace and excited about my future. Totally grounded, totally gorgeous, and truly, truly, above all, totally grateful for everything I have. My kids, my husband, my beautiful home. I close my eyes and lie down snow angel style in the lawn and let the soft blades of grass tickle my skin. Some kind of exotic bird of prey or something glides overhead, shedding a single feather that spirals down slowly and lands on my dewy, tan chest right above my heart. I've never tried alcohol or cum-dumped in anything. I don't know what ketamine is. I am free. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, all right. The 9 o'clock set is already popping off. Do you feel it, New York? Please help me welcome Tess to the stage. Tess Warman is a New York dancer for a free Palestine. Tess.
Niall, you look starving. You hungry? You want me to make you something? What do you want me to make you? I got a full kitchen back here. You got it, babe. Spaghetti bolognese. My favorite. As you know, I wish I was Italian. But I make a mean Jewish bolognese, babe. My bubby used to make it like this. And she has this amazing recipe that my mother so thoughtfully printed on a tea towel for Christmas for us this year. And it's got this like kind of special ritual that you do while you're making the meat sauce. Do you want to know what the ritual is? The ritual is saying words out loud in a sort of intuitive manner. Kind of like poetry, but it's not. And the meaning kind of doesn't matter, but it does sometimes. So it's about that time with the sauce that I do that part. Don't you forget what your finest moment in the sanctuary felt like after the toilet broke in the priest's room. She didn't quite, it wasn't the most memorable day of that particular young person's life, but it doesn't matter when there's so many fucking days. Who cares if they're different or not different? And I'm most inclined to yell, just to make a kind of wait for you to look over here and then ask yourself, how did I get, and then the thing about my obituary is that it's going to be like, she's not dead. Because nothing dies. Nothing dies. It just changes into another thing. God! Get it through your skulls, New York Times. Nothing dies. It just changes into a different thing. No one has ever died. Nothing has ever gone away. Those babies are changing into something else. And the stock in my market is down. Oh no. Forget about it. On a moment's notice. And then no one ever heard from me again.
Thank you, Taz. I have to adjust my thing too. Jeez. Okay. Next up, Matvey Yankelevich is the editor of World Poetry Books, a nonprofit publisher of poetry and translation. He recently founded the small press Winter Editions. Please welcome Matvey.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be back. This is called No Home Poem. To say my eyes are failing, say my sight is failing. To say I have no home, say I'm far from home. Say it's a long way to go, say there's nowhere to go. Say, they say, go back where you came from. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Say, they say, go where your eyes take you. Go on, they say, get. To say I have no home, say my eyes are failing. To say world without end, say war without end. Talk of peace in the kitchen, crumbs, they say, from the rich man's table. Go ahead, talk all you want. Peace talks, they say, are off the table. To say, can't you hear me? Say, speak English. To say, what language do you speak? Say, you come from beyond the hill. Whose home is this hovel? Who's coming to dinner? Whose side are you on? Who's going to clean up this mess, Pushkin? To say, anybody home? Say, winter is on the doorstep. To say, nobody's home. Say, just us mice. How do you say doorstep? Over there, they say doorstep with threshold. How do you say winter? Over there, they say winter with a Z. Thank you.
Thank you, Matvey. Up next, Benjamin Krusling is a poet and artist and the author of Glaring, published in 2020, and most recently a chapbook, It Got So Dark. Please welcome Benjamin.
Thank you. Oh. Political transformation. The time of useful consciousness was conceived by a Nazi doctor, or he oversaw the institute. Like us, he lived in the middle of history, then the United States, which we demand to know more about, with the sustained energy of new phones or athletes. In space, time is short, all phones go, time rushes in from the future. The scene of my mother in budget hospice, the intensified Nazification of doctors, the clanification of common sense. Clanning is one method of securing power in an unstable situation. I'm listening while I hold my braids, and blow into fossil fuels in the half dome of a small grill. I hope the fires don't touch my face. The struggle began when I spilled some of my attachment to self-preservation. Oh, I should spend time getting free from myself, who gets everyone to stay under nuclear pressure all the time. People stay, and I scream, and I leave. Washington, stop and think your dance partner is death. Maybe something stopped working, looking out at another human being. Maybe something decayed. In the blue sun where breathing stops, where babies expire on dead technology. The place I live in incubates death with big lungs, breathes on death with big lungs. But if the state is God, there's nothing they could do. Being serious, a force is working through them, and it's great. It's bigger than money. When death is your way, they've discovered life is sweeter. Every person eviscerated by shrapnel or melted by phosphorus, another inch in their shoes on the way to God the Father. Maybe I got dropped on my head, on the ground, taking in the sky. Maybe I haven't thought enough. My knowledge is not systemic enough. Maybe no knowledge, thought stopped working, looking, decaying in some stupid version of one person's anger. But my anger has an engine. Let my poem be a rocket and a bureaucrat's cold face. I keep the dead in my head like knives in a block. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. Next up, we have Shiv Kotecha. Shiv Kotecha is a writer living in New York. Please welcome Shiv.
Thank you. Happy New Year. It's really kind of wonderful to feel so comfortable at the Poetry Project, a place I feel like I can call home and a place that gives me hope. Thanks to everyone that works here. Thanks to Kyle for all the work you've done. I'm going to read some prose. Chunks of prose. Two chunks. Okay. Bob parked his car outside the Lenox, where he was renting a room. It was one of the many buildings he told Roy, who he pressed up against a painted mirror at the back end of the elevator, when American and European aristocrats bet on faith and pumped their trillions of money into the little lake-flanked city. This place is chintzy, he said, only because the French people built it. He hit floor 17, they went up. They shut the place down in 1901, he said, crab waltzing down the gilded hallway with Roy's knees buckled into the dark rental where this anarchist steelworker from Cleveland, he grew up not far from where I did, stayed here to see the World's Fair and to kill the president. Roy felt a slight pinch of skin at his wrist and the pulling of hair between a thumb and a zipper. Then the CIA took the place over, but of course they forgot all about it for like 50 or 60 years. Then the state had to sell it for cheap. This is like one of the 4 set of Patels the place has been pawned between since then. Can you imagine? This place wasn't even part of Buffalo at all. He brought some spit into Roy's suddenly perched rectum in the way that one asks a question. A no man's land, like an airport, he rubbed, but right in the middle of the city. Roy was introduced to the geography of Bob's pre-furnished suite with swift, abstract movements. Behind him, he grabbed at the edges of the cold ceramic bidet, grazing one side of his face, flecks of seafoam wallpaper peeling off. Careening his neck off the mattress, the carpet flooring beneath was momentarily like the sea. It took 2 weeks for President William McKinley to die after Leon F. Kolgos shot him using a .32 caliber Iver Johnson revolver. We followed the hole made by the bullet until it went into the muscle, read his physician's report, which gives an organ-by-organ account of the missile's journey as it burrowed through the abdomen wall, then stomach, scraping the upper end of his kidney, before disappearing completely into his back fat. The document notes that the collective resolve not to find the object, their use of a bedpan to reflect light in the dismally lit emergency room, and the prototype of an X-ray exhibited at the fair but kept out of the operating room due to an anxious doctor who feared what would happen if the body were to have survived. According to the police report, Leon Kolgos acted alone and was the agent of no organization. Despite news reports, his actions had nothing to do with the murder of King Umberto I 1 year prior by Gaetano Bresci, a similarly disgruntled laborer and anarchist from Jersey. It was correct that he was the first of several eager guests at the Temple of Music that morning, where the chief executive of the nation hosted a public reception, and that he was the third individual to shake the president's hand. If it weren't for the fact that he had been elbowed by somebody in the rib, he said he would have not had legs, while Niagara gushed in a picture frame hanging above him. The proprietor of the Lenox reported that Leon Kolgos lived alone and that during his stay took no visitors. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you, Shiv. How are we all doing? Good. Hannah Baer is a writer and therapist based in New York. Please welcome Hannah.
On the most widely used intelligence test in contemporary US psychological assessment, the second to last and therein supposedly second hardest question on the verbal reasoning section is, in what way are a friend and an enemy alike? When you are administering the test, you are allowed to repeat the prompt as many times as the test taker requests. In what way are a friend and an enemy alike? The testing manual provides specific examples of incorrect answers. One incorrect answer is feelings. Another incorrect answer is people you know. Another incorrect answer is everyone's experiences. Another incorrect answer is human nature. Another incorrect answer is one you like, one you don't like. Aristotle, in describing one of the binds of aiming at the good, notes that the good is like the center of a bullseye, and you are like an archer. And everywhere not at the center of a bullseye is not that good towards which you aim. What I am aiming to illustrate is how vast the wrong answers are, how the manual cannot possibly contain every incorrect answer. So I thought it may be helpful to share some other answers which are not technically correct answers to this item on the intelligence test. This exam, designed and largely unchanged from its first few designs by eugenicists, give or take 100 years ago. If you were asked, in what way are a friend and an enemy alike, it would be incorrect to say, in both relationships, there can be a kind of subject-object confusion, that as the feeling of intensity increases, so too might the propensity of the slippage between who is who, whose love is whose hatred is whose. It would also be incorrect to say, as the subject-object confusion amplifies, it morphs. In extremes of friendship, the subject-object confusion is related to the idea of a kind of fictive merger, the ways that nothing can be disambiguated. We are one entity, what Genesis and Lady J called pandragyne. In enemyship, if one were to call it that, there is a kind of fictive separation. We are nothing alike. We have nothing to do with each other. Everything is disambiguated. In both cases, however, there is confusion about where I end and you begin. This confusion is precisely what makes an enemy and a friend alike. And again, just to clarify, these are incorrect answers. I want to say one more, that people who study difficult conflicts have documented a phenomenon where sometimes at extremes of enemyship, the dynamic can sometimes invert, flipping, as it were, to close friendship. We are likely more familiar in Western cultures that fetishize violent conflict with examples of friendship which suddenly tip into enemyship, allies or lovers who suddenly become painful or even despised figures to one another. It's well documented, however, that it can tip in both directions, that friends can become enemies, but that enemies, whether between nations, social groups, or just individual dyads, can also suddenly find themselves as friends who share land and resources and company, or those who fight about it. The ease of slippage between these supposedly opposed categories has to do with the particular intimacy of each, the way that a real enemy can never be a mere other, but rather only one who is also potentially a neighbor, a lover, a comrade, one from whom separation would have to be complete, otherwise one might merge. This is also one of the ways to understand counterintuitively the way it may be pleasurable to have an enemy or painful to have a friend. And to be clear, again, to provide such an answer on a test of intelligence would not result in credits or points for your answer.
Damn, honey. I feel like this entire event we can take the week off from therapy. Thank you. Thanks, Hannah. Riven Ratanavan is an artist who reaches into the body, psyche, and spirit in search of trans-Asian diasporic realities and dreams. Please welcome Riven.
Hi everyone. It's beautiful to be here tonight. I'm really grateful to be here. I'm going to read one poem titled Utopia. Utopia. Memory of a summer night when I fell shoulder deep into someone. I wonder if it was because of me, because of him, or because of what we didn't know. The night, thick with perpetual mud, hovers over an easy vein sliding. I followed its hum. In the darkness, you can't see the shade of my skin, and it matters. I was packing, and what you can see matters. There's a song I wish could last forever that lulls me into a fault. I was fucking him, and then I wasn't. I was swallowed. I was laughing. I was back in the womb, gilled and winding. I was home again. I was different. The guts, the digestive tract, the lumen are technically outside linings of the body. Fucking isn't exactly getting inside someone, it's more like being really close to them, nestled on all sides by skin a few degrees warmer. Talk about being empty. The sky was a cave, big enough for me to be emptied into. If someone were to put an arm inside him and remain still long enough, both bodies might stop registering the other, making two bodies one. Do I have to empty myself to contain this song, this pocket of chance and circumstance, led by instincts tuned more finely by men who have taught me how I don't want to feel. And the leveling field of darkness in the rat race of desire, veiled in the safety and grief of my passing, I remember I am only served in the cab by men whose skin is darker than mine. Every year, it is less of a surprise, and I don't forget. I can negate that with a dress. Maybe this isn't what I asked for, but my song rests on the horizon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ribbon. Up next, Carolyn Ferrucci is a poet who wants a free Palestine.
Thank you. Thanks so much to the Poetry Project and everything you do. Okay. We continued on, not knowing the way out. We started talking about what we wanted. It made us think of death. We kept going towards the waterfall, even though we heard it was orange lately. We met the others on the path, us going up, them going down. We shared our chips. They played us the new song from their phone, there on the path. Others passed us by. We were deep in, giving it away, seasonal, adjourned, wrecked, again here together, our contradictions beautiful, not outdoing us. Some days fissure clearly. The mountain is cultural, its lip and scruff. These rafters are freaks I live among, beams and earth juice. I'm unkept listening to the skaters and not keeping it to myself. Their threshold, their essential architecture, any ion, any shroud. I had to speak for myself then, it made me think of death. Who are you on this earth for? Cast their feet in bronze. If you're safe, let yourself feel the pain you had to keep yourself from. Who are you in this prolonged emergency for? The telling beings ashing into their milk carton, a salty, breathing condition. Mine is to leave. I lack and I'm living. I'm immaculate at packing. Dear befallen, you all deserve it, to experience the world as we're losing it, to not have your children taken from you. No managers, no civilization, no data. A cliff from the Triassic has traveled from New Jersey to Crown Heights. It's still going, but you know that. You can feel it, so don't spend a thing. The grays and browns of morning grow so quickly into light, like someone who tells you of themselves easily. I'm barely contained, but I must be a container. I say nothing in front of the ocean. The ocean says the relief of your circuitous commune. Says every day I'm baffled, cleaning her window so she can see out, not at, the spiritual atmosphere with which you grow, girl. Purposefully non-conclusive, unrecognizable gaze, trained to look away, not at. You figure out how to move forward by the sides, knowing the material not as stable as it pretends. My humble material, celebrate these mysteries, this ornamental storm. Love perpetual change, rid me of all charm. Rest my brave, rest my strong, weak as I am now, let me come to my need, just raged and believing. In a woman who yells, beats her chest, her stomach, her legs, her arms. Do not turn away from what she says we are. I'll never be good at saying, and all I want is to tell you, I didn't mean to say you look the same, you look yourself, every surprise, you're whole of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolyn. Early Shaneda is an interdisciplinary artist and writer whose work convenes moments of witness around live relays of history. Please welcome Early.
The arsenal of the United States and my good name are organized within the entity of this nation. I visit home, A deindustrialized American city so quiet in the daylight it feels like an unused set. The surfaces of its dormant lots are ragged. The asphalt is broken and looks to be boiling as it rises and curves around breaks, pierced through by strong-stalked and jagged-edged plants. An invasive species variously called the ghetto palm or tree of paradise, depending on one's disposition to the destruction of pavement. A gestating infant will often rob the parent's body of its composite nutrients, disintegrating calcium from the bones or iron from the blood for requisition in its own forming body. Even under conditions of sufficient nutrition, the parent may be surprised to find their hair falling out, their teeth cracking. School districts go bankrupt, entire municipal water systems fall to poison, and pensions collapse alongside bridges. All the while, the muscular proliferation of war's profits grow profligate, as if our collective capacity for generation were nothing more than the nutritive vesicle for a suckling apparatus of violence, a living death to which we are wetly and abundantly bound. They tell me my grandfather drank milk straight from the teat of a cow. Going back 2, 3, and no more than 4 generations up my various family lines, my forebears were born onto the same lands where their ancestors rose and fell, breeding themselves into death-eliding continuity. They ate in some or large part foods which they caught and grew directly from the earth's proliferations and were buried or burned in the places that fed them. If I could, I would watch my grandfather drink milk. I would like to pull time's progression off and into itself, rubbing this New Year's Day against all of the rest. Swallowed past this room, we travel forward to go back. Easily, we pass my grandfather's funeral, the death of his son. I see my great-grandfather. He has not immigrated. He has not had to shovel coal. His lungs have not yet been blackened. My grandmother has not fled to the seaside to escape the city as it is leveled by bombs. They have not been forced to be landless by famine. She, for her part, has not yet died on the boat. She still breathes and speaks in Irish or Galia. He speaks Japanese or Nihongo and will become a milkman, except now he is small and learning to catch his first fish. They have not yet been dislodged from the places they came from. They still share in the life of the land from which their parents had grown. To read a family tree forward is to see the distillation of possibilities into finitude, the condensed one of you or me. But if you follow the lines backwards, they run open and open and open. In a crowd like this one now, some of your lines may even touch or pass into an overt mingling of blood. I wonder how they would like us here across these great distances, dislodged from original places as the majority of us are, separated from them by splits of language, radical gaps in customs, unrecognizable labors and ways of life. Our substances and pleasures differ. We eat from distant soils and inhabit new faiths. We will not know what they saw, those who first traveled and watched as the world turned over around them, how intimately they grew to know the inveterate potentiality of change. But today, on this first day, it is not possible to think on creation without the pursuing specter of destruction in Palestine, birth's announcement without the pall of death in Palestine, generation without the liquidation of continuity in Palestine. The arsenal of the United States and my good name are organized within the entity of this nation. The inheritance of the world falls together daily and dazzles in the pure speed of its reproduction around our waking eyes. It grafts a groundless sense of inevitability onto the rising and setting of the sun, an urgency to the night and everything you want to touch before it ends. Tomorrow will be composed in part by losses which cannot be made up for. To carry time forward, we must open and open and open the condensed finites of the past. The futures we make will have to reckon with the irreversibilities of violence and the unrelenting non-repetition of creation, which makes loss so profound. Together, we must discover ourselves and prove the inveterate potentiality of change. It requires such vast and dear energy to pull anything across the horizon of becoming. It is a finite capacity each of us has and burns away daily. So often it is captured across the contours of someone else's plan. Some dares come with an expiration. Often it is hard to guess which. Free Palestine.
Thank you, Early. Issa Spector is a choreographer and director based in New York. Welcome, Issa, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, I'm just gonna try this. I collapse, unfolded in a beginning that cannot explain what comes after. She turns to me sullen, still hoping there's something left in my pocket. My prudence is belligerent now, unaccepting strife. Her eyebrow winces and I bend further down. We are not made for a perfect match. The lesson is weary, but so is the arrival of this transport. If I don't move now, I may never move again. It's simply that cold. There's a pony in the river, and a boy, crossing tides together, soon meeting shallow ends. unless pebbles can lift and circle his hips, allowing him to bend so gently against the spade. But even so, to carry both, they'll have to move faster. Later they beat the water and he says, "I've seen you before." Time repeats its longshore drive towards a sorrowful reproach, something that lingers beside the shore unleveled. Mane soaked and slowly, the horse turns to him and neighs. I think this river might actually feed into a larger body. The boy repeats with her eyes, bare symptoms, arduous language, unperformed, tuning the air. Guide me further until this is over.
Thank you, Issa. My new neighbor friend from Honcho, yes. Lovely to see you move and speak. Thank you. Up next is not only a sister of mine, but also the first openly gay porn star. Please welcome Ty Mitchell.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Kyle, for having me here. It is an honor to be among poets, and an even greater honor to be among people who love them. There we go. A fellow performer who seemed to know a lot about steroids once explained to me that something about how dopamine in your brain drops once you come, and that's the main reason you feel somewhat disgusted with yourself right after you jerk off. I took his word for it. I think it's a microcosm of some greater spiritual law, maybe, that in the wake of personal triumphs, we tend to feel not like ourselves. Euphoria, dysphoria, and then eventually we wind up somewhere better than before. Lately, I have been saying no, more or less. I have been disappearing without a word, which is still without a yes. I have been rolling over, away from the question. It's unclear whether I'm all that depressed or just shifting away from experiences sapped of their novelty. I've learned to manage it all quite well by now and can subdue the exuberant sales pitch of death down to a low, droning buzz. It's important to check in with oneself anyhow, so I worry when pleasure slips away about whether it will come back soon or if the sensitivity has gone for good. I suppose it comes down to a difference between working against yourself or on your own behalf. I feel better about myself when I walk away than when I wait around. But say you come across a vacated crab shell washed up on the shore. How can you be certain it found another body to live in? Between an active, intentional desire for sex and its equally generative absence, you might find yourself sinking into a listless state of looking. It is the inverse of an accidental boner. It is a rolling dune of receptivity. The stakes would be impossibly low here if not for that of making it through the day having done something, anything that excites you. Call it boredom, or call it relaxing at home. Call it gambling for a warm body, or call it hoping to be saved. Somebody asks you when was the last time you got fucked. You feel prompted to lie, but you can't discern which lie would be the hot one, so you try to count. And amid reconciling your sexual history with your immediate thirst, it occurs to you that nobody asks this who really plans to do anything about it. You turn over. The other night, I fell asleep on my back, which I have been told prevents wrinkles. I woke up repeatedly on the very edge of my mattress between dreams about a vacation in the woods, and I was still on my back, as if some divine wind had pushed me there. I inched back to safety, and at noon finally left my bed for the couch, prickling with dread. Thank you.
I think water prevents wrinkles, not laying on your back, Ty. Thank you, baby. This is the last person I'm going to introduce for the night, and I just wanted to say, I would share something personally right now in that 23 was kind of a shitty year. I don't think that is a unique thing for anyone. And I just wanted to say that for someone that's been having a difficult time with New York, I have just been sitting here drooling over you all, and I just wanted to say thank you for coming out and reminding me why I do love New York. So, all right, to close out the 9 p.m. set, please welcome to the stage Victoria Ruiz. Victoria is a singer, not only in songs, and she learned this from her grandma.
Thank you, and you're why we live in New York, so. And thanks so much to Kay for inviting me. I got the invite on a day when I was in a lot of trouble, so thank you. This is called Efficiency Like the Petals of a Flower. Triangle, angles add up like the 180s you need to make that horizon. Try, like really all you can. Trial, and we still will know no justice. Tripe, that was meant for a soup, not ashes. Trivial, feels everything else. Tried and true are the sea, sand, flowers, wrinkles, embraces, laughs. Triathloning seems every night, sun to moon. Triads of tent frames turned home. Tribes of people, worlds, multiverses, mundanities, excitements. Tried, trialed, trivial, was never. Perpetual triathlon. And this triad of red, pomegranate, blood, blush, ruby, fire, sea stars, poppy skin, becomes the truest trick. The triangle, so red, the trick that'll make us tick. Free Palestine. Ceremony, and this is why events always unnerve me. For the girls whose grandmas loved them so much that they played inside even when they didn't have to. So wearied that I rage, workers, property, state. Events everywhere, and I haven't been everywhere, but it is sure on my list. You can burn the bridge, that's okay, I'll just swim. Me lo das o me lo quitas. Tú te vas, no me digas. And I haven't been everywhere, but oh how, it's on my list. On the borderline, ready, so ready, wait, because they don't love you like I love you. And you got a special way of saying goodbye, so I'll just let this good old wave ride. Debit, credit, give me one more chance. Turn the boat around, still headed toward the land either way. The cost of living has 3 hands, father, son, a gun. I'm not done. I just don't want to be fast this time. Because we've all had that mare that hates poetry. Right now, he is Eric Adams. So we had to do it. Classic. There was no choice. Sometimes you gotta take one to save five. The McCullen Act of 19-something-5, a conservative Democratic mayor who also, I'll save that part for last, drew this line, where in fact he would create his own words, legal subterfuge, aka fascist colonialism, to take what he always called the apple knockers land of upstate New York. Thousands and thousands of people's home, land, water. Because we were caught in this contradiction where the harbors had created the success of the New York shipping industry and capitalism. And so we needed water to drink that the harbors could not provide. Is this a contradiction, or is this just fascist colonialism? So, this conservative mayor met the needs of the people who were around that harbor. I don't know what to think of it, but what I do know is that on Christmas Eve, in the early 1900s, this same mayor closed cinema houses in New York City because he found them to be a moral crime and a fire hazard. So I haven't been everywhere, but it is on my list. Thank you.
I'm next. Sure. And I don't know. Should you introduce?
Give it up for Victoria, the closing poet, writer of the 9 p.m. set.